Welcome to 10 for 10, the podcast that delves into 10 modern Israel concepts, each for about 10 minutes. We're Dr. Tal Grinfast-David and Dr. Jonathan Golden, and today's episode will ask whether Israeli communal singing is about shared memories of the past or about imagining a different future. Public singing has been a cultural tradition in Israel since before the state's founding, including songs about pioneerism, the beauty of the land, immigration, and military successes. Each generation and every decade has created a legacy of songs that have become part of Israel's canon, meaning that everyone knows the lyrics and can sing along, and most Israelis associate the song with a particular historical event. These songs are different from other songs that are pop hits or trendy in that they capture the collective memory of the nation. If you hear one of these songs being played on the radio on any given day, you might wonder if you missed the news, because they're typically played when a tragedy or national event occurs. Tal, when you think about the songs of collective memory, what examples come to mind?
Well, there's so many, Jonathan, that it's really hard to choose. Obviously, Israel's anthem, Hatikva, which means the hope, is a song that has resonated with Jews from 1886 to today, but has also been met with a lot of challenges. At first, Rav Kook was dismayed that Hatikva had no reference to God, so he wrote a different version called Ha'emunah, meaning the faith. But Hatikva resonated more with the early Zionist pioneers and was eventually sung at the reading of the Declaration of Independence in 1948. Post-independence, the hope of sovereignty in the land was fulfilled, so some even questioned Hatikva's relevance to reality. After the 1967 war and the unification of Jerusalem, some Knesset members even moved to make Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, Jerusalem of Gold, the national anthem. Arab minorities never saw this anthem as reflective of their lives and hopes, and some Arab Knesset members actively rejected singing it or standing for it. Ultimately, it was legislated into law as the official anthem of the state only in 2004, in response to waves of anti-Semitism around the world, the Second Intifada within, and it was a means to cement the Jewish character of the state. But there are songs that define historical memory, such as Bab el-Wad from the War of Independence, describing the valley in which soldiers fought to free Jerusalem from the Arab siege. Another example is, as I mentioned, Jerusalem of Gold, which describes the geography and politics of a capital city divided before the war, where Jews could not access their holy sites, and then adding a stanza after the war to depict Jerusalem's unification. Its popularity was immediate and widespread, and when Israeli soldiers reached the Kotel, they spontaneously burst into song, not with Hatikva, but with Jerusalem of Gold. In recent years, controversy erupted over Naomi Shemer's originality, claiming that she copied the music from a Basque folk song, but it still remains part of the canon for Jews worldwide. After the 1973 Yom Kippur War, the song Anachnu Hayeladim Shel Choref 73, We Are the Children of the Winter of 73, captured the disappointment of the entire nation that the previous war of 67 was not the final war to end all wars. The mourning of so many fallen that could have possibly been prevented by better leadership, and disappointment that the notion of promised peace was actually a broken promise. After Rabin's assassination in 95, Aviv Geffen's Livkot Lecha, To Cry for You, became a central memorial song which so many could identify with. Some of the songs in Israeli collective memory are of mourning, some are yearning for peace, and others are of protest. All have captured the emotional pulse of the nation at the time they were performed, and many of them return in later decades with new relevance for Israelis facing hardship and tragedy. Jonathan, what role has Israeli canonized music played in public life?
Israeli singing draws on traditions like the annual Israeli Song Festival and competitions to select Israel's representative in Eurovision. Israeli songs can also reflect global trends in music. As you mentioned, Aviv Geffen's song after Rabin's assassination in 1995, the song that comes to mind is Song of Peace, Shir LaShalom, which was written in 1969 and reflects the melodies and tone of 1960s anti-war music. A song of the war of attrition era, it challenges the listener to both remember those who have fallen in battle and imagine a brighter future. Some say that the song echoed in part a speech by General Yitzhak Rabin at Hebrew University days after the Six-Day War. in which he spoke of the balance between victory and the personal sacrifice of those who fell in war. A few decades later, the song was performed at a peace rally in Tel Aviv. At the rally, Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated and found with a blood-stained bullet hole through his copy of the song, an item which became a symbol of the shattered hope for peace. Tal, what role would you say that collective singing plays in Israeli culture and society?
Well, like Ehud Manor said when he interviewed after Rabin's assassination, public singing became public prayer, especially for Israelis who defined themselves as less observant or as rejecting organized religion. He said, quote, "I look at people when they take part in community singing. They sound and look as devout as any group of Hasidim. They project such passion and vulnerability and faith when they sing. It's a kind of catharsis. They feel better once they sing, and I think prayer does this to you too," end quote. Speaking of Ehud Manor, in 1986, he wrote the song, "I Have No Other Country," to express his grief over his brother's death in the War of Attrition. But it later became an anthem for the First Lebanon War and for protest movements ever since. Its lyrics are especially haunting because they express the loyalty of the individual to the country and the nation, even when things change and when hopes are dashed. There is still an ideal that citizens hold of a better life for Israel and a brighter future, even with the pain. That song became a feature of the judicial reform protests and then was performed for the families of hostages a year after the Hamas attack, in memorial and with hope for hostages to be released. It should be pointed out that the divisions in Israel were highlighted when these families rejected the government's plans for a memorial ceremony focused on resurrection, rebuilding, and a celebration of the military accomplishments of the national security apparatus, and created their own ceremony. The families highlighted the grief for the fallen civilians and soldiers, the yearning for hostages to be returned, and a demand for better government responses to the war.
Just as I Have No Other Country returned years later with new meaning, the song Winter of '73 inspired two new songs referencing October of 2023. One song was a salute of teachers to their students who served willingly in the IDF post-October 7th, and offered an example of civic participation and self-sacrifice to the inspiration of the nation. The remake of Winter of '73 that you referenced earlier by Easy and Odea echoes the broken promises in the original song, but with even more of a sense of despair. The intertextual references of these songs take for granted that the Israeli public knows the songs of the canon well enough to hear the original song in their mind as they digest and interpret the latest version. I also note that sometimes Israeli songs have influence and impact on the diaspora. Take, for example, the song Shevet Achim V'Achayot, a tribe of brothers and sisters, written in 2019. It speaks of the love and rootedness of the people in the land of Israel and sought a goal of unity among Israel's different tribes. That idea was epitomized by Israeli President Reuven Rivlin's recitation of the chorus at the end of the music video of this song. If one does a very basic YouTube search, it's remarkable how many schools in the Jewish world made their own version of A Tribe of Brothers and Sisters, which in their own way answered President Rivlin's call for diaspora Jews to see themselves as a fifth tribe.
Yeah, I agree. It is remarkable how Israeli songs like Hurricane, performed by Eden Golan in the Eurovision of '24, have become widely popular in diaspora Jewish playlists. To highlight one more song most Israelis and diaspora Jews now know the lyrics to, is Hanan Ben Ari's Shvurei Lev, Broken Hearts, which was put together from the different lines one would recognize from the Jewish prayer books, and has often been requested by families to be performed by Hanan Ben Ari at burials of fallen soldiers and murdered hostages. The song lyrics comfort, mourn, and strengthen the bereft, much as a minyan for Shiva would. Jonathan, which of the songs from the dozens being played on Israeli TV, radio, and public ceremonies do you think will stand the test of time and will become part of the canon of Israeli music and collective memory from this current war?
There have been songs that bring comfort to a mourning nation, as we've discussed on this podcast, as well as other songs that bring hope and inspiration. For a significant period of the war, the song Al B'Yisrael Chai, The People of Israel Live, by Eyal Golan, a singer embroiled in some controversy, But that song encouraged people to sing it proudly and dance to its pulsating beat as a sign of Israel's vitality in a challenging time. Of all the noteworthy songs created post-October 7th, I think that the song Giborei Al, Superheroes, by Hatikva Shesh, will have staying power. The song narrates how Israelis from all walks of life, noting their professions and everyday contributions, came together and went above and beyond their call of duty to society. It insists that even, quote, ordinary people are the ones who can help save the world.
I think the song Emunah, Believe, which is a collaboration of Israeli songwriters with Idan Reiche, will not only be remembered as part of the Israeli canon for October 7th, but also will resonate for future events. Its opening line, everything that happened will change starting tomorrow. Time will fix everything that's already broken and left behind, is relevant for the destruction of the kibbutzim in the south, the shelled and evacuated towns in the north, the grief for the fallen and abducted, the hope for a deal to bring back hostages, and a dream of a better future if we try. Recognizing the deep despair, the song provides a comfort and expresses the faith the nation needs to be resilient for hardships yet to come. I believe that the songs that will remain in the Israeli canon and collective memory will be songs that both connect to our shared national Jewish history and to our hopes for the future. And this is what will keep them coming back as relevant in future times.
Time and again, the songs of communal singing in Israel represent both collective memory and the collective prayers of the society. As the playlist grows and new songs sprout from the roots of the classics, they will mobilize a new generation to face the challenges and dream the dreams of the days that lie ahead. Thank you all for listening to Israeli Communal Singing, sharing memories of the past or imagining a different future. Please visit our websites, heartstance.org and tgtconsulting.org to download our family and educator guide with links to the songs we reviewed, additional resources, and discussion prompts.